Previously on your favorite episode.
So into it, I started dating an Undertaker.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new edition of your favorite episode. I am your host, Jackie, and joining me is my partner and producer, Mickey.
Hi, I'm Mickey.
Our guest today is Gabby Brown, incredible podcaster, talented burlesque artist, and all-around amazing human being. Today we're going deep on Sex and the City, Season 4, Episode 13, The Good Fight. Y'all ready to get into it? Let's go. I did it.
TV rots your brains.
That's absurd. TV only softens the brain like a ripe banana.
Television. Much of our future depends on the way we use this medium of communication.
I don't know if you've met Mickey before, but that is Mickey. He is my dude.
Hey, Mickey, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
We already did like the intro thing, so we can just like get into the meat of the stuff.
Oh, nice.
My first question for you is, you picked Season 5, Episode 13. Oh, Season 4, Episode 13 of Sex and the City. The Good Fight. What made you pick this episode?
What made me pick this episode, aside from the fact that that was the very first episode that came to mind when you asked me? Like immediately, it was just like, yep, that one. And I did get a chance to rewatch it recently. So I'm dissecting it from a different eye from, the first time I saw it when I was, 18? And now I see it, and it's crazy because I can relate to every single character, all of the main characters, as far as their fight, what it is that they're fighting for, because I've been in every single one of those scenarios. I've been in, I haven't been in Miranda's scenario, but the other three, yes. But still, it's just like, that was the one that stuck out to me. That and when I was watching it again, the writing of that specific episode is so incredibly realistic, because I've heard of friends who've had fights like this. I have heard them say similar things, and there's a couple jokes in there that each one of the characters says, and I'm like, yeah, those are things that I would actually say. So out of the entire series, that episode is the most relatable to me.
The dialogue is super strong in this episode. So if some of our listeners happen to have never seen an episode of Sex and the City, can you give them like an overview of the show, like the main themes, what it's about, and like introduce them to some of the characters so they know who we're talking about?
Oh, of course. Sex and the City came out in the late 90s. It is about love, sex, and fashion. That is the three main themes of that entire show. You have Charlotte York, who is your WASP character. She's very prim. She's very proper. She went to the best schools, Ivy League schools. She had it all. So she comes to New York to obviously find love. Miranda Hobbs is your stubborn, tough, strong woman. She is a lawyer, and she will only allow life on her terms, but she does eventually turn into a little bit of a softie when she meets Steve, the bartender. Samantha Jones, I like to say she is like Miranda, but she's like turned up to 10. So she is Miranda, but she is turned up to 10. She doesn't care what anybody thinks. She says it in a later episode in this show. She tells a character, yes, I am smart, self-sufficient, stubborn, and always right. And I'm like, yeah, that is Samantha Jones. And Carrie Bradshaw is I wouldn't say she's the main character. It is a very much of an ensemble. Carrie Bradshaw is the one who is narrating the show. She is your writer. She's kind of a mix of all three of those women, just like maybe muted a little bit, but she is the fashion queen. She is the hardcore, I will wear a giant flower on my shoulder walking down Fifth Avenue and I don't care type of woman. So, and I do, and I really much enjoy them. So you're basically watching all the lives of these four women from their early 30s all the way up until, if you count the television show both of the movies and the reboot.
I have not seen the reboot yet. I've seen both of the movies, and I wish I hadn't seen the second one.
Oh, the second one is so bad. And I'm going to be honest with you. And just like that, there are lots of cringe moments. There's only one episode that is perfect. And it reminds me of this episode that we're talking about. There's only one, and it's perfect. And then after that, it just is like, it's not so pleasant.
Yeah, I have not heard good things. And I've never seen the Carrie Diaries either, but this episode made me think, like, do you think any of the core four were like the alt girl in high school? Like, I feel like Miranda has serious possibilities, but I could also see her being like kind of like a little nice Republican girl, kind of, to fit in because of the pressure. And then maybe Carrie, but like Samantha was definitely like jock bait.
Oh yeah, Samantha was the party girl. Mm-hmm. So the Carrie Diaries was actually based off of 2 books that the author did write, and I actually read those 2 books. And when you say Miranda might have been Miranda, you could tell Miranda was raised by ethical hippies. It is very clear in the book that she was raised by ethical hippies. You don't let anybody run over anybody. You fight for everybody. And that's just what it is. That it is very clear, even in the Carrie Diaries, that she was raised by like some hardcore hippies. Of course, yeah, Charlotte was, because you meet Charlotte at the end of the second book is when you meet Charlotte, but you meet Miranda in the beginning of the second book. In the first book, Carrie just didn't have any of those leanings. She was just, I do whatever. I'm off in the wind, but I don't want to get into too much trouble. Yeah. That was Carrie in her younger years. I have not read the actual book Sex and the City, but
I have.
You have?
Yes.
That's the last book I have to read this entire circle. I have to read that one, but I've seen all the movies and seen the show.
I think that I read it in anticipation of the show like forever and ever ago. Like I was hype when this show came out.
Oh man.
Because there's a girl writer and she like wore cool clothes and that was who I wanted to be.
Oh my gosh. Listen, even now, I'm a full-grown adult and I still want that life to just be able to have like thousands of dollars worth of shoes and this gorgeous little apartment and write. I would love that life.
Well, according to Carrie Bradshaw, you can have that life. There's one quote. Jackie and I had a discussion where I was like, the one thing I remember from watching the show, like I had a girlfriend that basically watched it, and if I wanted to spend time with her, I had to watch it with her. And like the one takeaway was this girl just buys shoes all the time, no matter what. And like there's an actual quote from Carrie Bradshaw that says, I will, if there's a $400 pair of shoes that I want, I'll go get them.
Yeah.
I'm homeless, but I have nice shoes.
Yes. I remember that episode. She was about to get kicked out of her house and she goes, I'll be a bag lady. I'll be a Fendi bag lady, but I'll be a bag lady. And then she realized, Miranda had her realize how much money she had in shoes. $400,000 worth of shoes in her closet.
She could have afforded to buy her apartment.
Thank you. I thought when her building was going co-op, I said the same thing. I'm like, ma'am, there's your down payment for your house.
Okay, so let's kind of set where this episode, like where the characters are when the episode starts out to kind of give an idea of what we're getting into.
Okay. In this episode, Carrie has gotten back with Aiden. They had a breakup because she cheated on Aiden with Big, and that was at the moment when everyone just goes, what are you doing? But now in this episode, in this season, they've gotten back together. Miranda is pregnant, and she has finally told Steve that the child is his. So now they're working that out. They're not together, because they found out he had testicular cancer and he had to have one of his balls removed. So they're thinking, well, he's got one ball, I've got one ovary. This isn't going to create a kid. And there's the kid.
Yeah.
Charlotte is it's the beginning of the end of Charlotte's marriage. Trey has finally told her that he doesn't want to have children anymore. He just wants to be with her, and that's good enough for him. She's realizing that's not really what I want. Samantha now has a new high-profile client, Richard, who is
Dick.
Dick. That's right. Who is a hotel magnate. He's got hotels all over the world. So now she's doing PR for him, but it's kind of turning into more of a hot stuff, mommy daddy sheet time situation. Like that's what it's becoming now. So that's where everybody's at in this episode.
So were you pro Aiden or like pro Big in the whole Aiden Big thing?
Oh, okay. As far as being the nice guy, yes, I am pro Aiden. But as far as the suaveness and the luxury, yeah. So I'm kind of like half and half. I wish I could just take the good of both of them and just put them into one person and create the third character who Carrie should have been with.
There's an episode leading up to this one because I did the dorky thing and I watched like all of season 4 in preparation for this. With Craig Bierko playing like this jazz dude, and at first I'm like, why didn't she stay with him? And then like the next episode, I'm like, oh, he is terrible.
He was awful. I know when I saw him show up in the season, I was like, ooh, is this going to be a permanent one? And then you see what happens, and you're just like, oh no.
Yeah, he was so problematic, but I like such a, like I've seen this before. I don't know why I didn't remember this happening. But it was not good. Okay, so I'm trying to remember where this episode starts. They're, of course, at brunch, I think, right?
It actually starts with Carrie coming home. She in the episode previous, she had agreed to let Aiden move in with her. They were going to buy the apartment next door, so they would make it larger. She comes in, Aiden's stuff is everywhere. And she's never lived with anybody before. So this is a huge battle within herself where she wants to be that accommodating girlfriend, but she doesn't want to give up what they later call in the episode their SSB, their single behavior, their secret single behavior. Yes. They don't really want to give that up. So they talk about that at brunch. Like, what are things that you don't want your other person to see? She says that she likes to have a stack of saltines, put grape jelly on them, and flip through Vogue magazines. Charlotte says she likes to analyze her pores every night in a mirror before she goes to bed. Miranda says she likes to watch cooking shows and put her hands in those Borghese gloves. And then, of course, Samantha's like, no, I don't have any of that. A man can see me do whatever. I just don't care.
Except for have feelings.
That leads me to think that Samantha has to be a Virgo because she will not show her feelings. She has to be, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, what signs would they be? Her or Miranda, they have to be Virgos because being vulnerable is like death to them. It's like the absolute death. They can't do it.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I can relate to all of the girls except for Carrie, which is weird because, like, she's like, got the dream.
She's the head girl, essentially, and she's the one that everyone thinks you're supposed to relate to. But you're right. Fashion-wise, yes, I do relate to her. But everything else, I relate to Miranda and Samantha the most. I relate to them the most.
Well, at the time when this came out, I was married to somebody who had a terribly suffocating mother. And so I very much related to the Charlotte storyline. Like, there was a time, it was Thanksgiving morning, and she was supposed to come for Thanksgiving dinner. She's like, what time do I come over? I'm like, come over at about 3:00. Everything will be ready then. Yeah. At 7:00 in the morning, she comes and knocks on our door. We're still in bed, of course.
Oh, no.
And we're like, well, we are not ready for company right now. So could you come back later? And she's like, oh no, I'll just wait in the living room. And
What?
I'm like, what do we do? He's like, oh, we'll just go back to bed. I'm like, okay. And then 10 minutes later, she's knocking on the bedroom door. It was a terrible Thanksgiving.
Oh
and then
gosh.
I remember later on, we had friends over for a game. And this is when I should have known about the OCD. They all made fun of me because the entire Thanksgiving dinner was put away and the kitchen was perfectly clean by the time they got there.
Gosh. Oh my gosh, that is awful. Yeah, you had your own version of bunny.
I had a bunny.
You had a bunny. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
So do you have any secret single behaviors?
Oh my gosh, of course I do. One of the things that I really love to do that I don't really particularly like, I don't want you there, is to be honest with you, I really like dancing in my house by myself.
Same.
Yeah.
I call it jangly limb dancing. Because I wrote this down. I wrote down like what? Because I knew that I would get on here and I would forget that I have any. And that's what I wrote down was my jangly limb dancing. I don't know why I don't like doing it in front of Mickey, but I don't do it.
I totally get that. I don't do that in front of my partners either. They'll like catch me and I'll just be like, oh no. Like, no, don't do that. Like, you're not supposed to see that. So yeah, that's definitely the high one on my list. The other one that I've started to notice that is now coming out within like, it started happening while we were in lockdown for the pandemic. I went and I bought this fancy little tea set from Amazon. I bought it and I made tea, and now I like to sit outside when the sun's going down with my plants and drink tea and play.
That's so sweet.
And play mahjong on my phone. And I don't want anybody there to do it. Just leave me alone.
That's total coastal grandma summer vibes. I love it.
Exactly. It just started happening. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to go with it now.
Well, we moved here and I suddenly just became a stoop kid. Like we haven't set up the TV yet. We've been here a month now. I just sit on the stoop, and I guess life is like my TV.
Listen, sometimes it helps you to just get outside and just sit and relax and not have to worry about anything. It's great.
We haven't eaten a meal indoors in this house at all.
Oh my goodness.
Have we?
No. And today we're looking at a high of 79.
Today was gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I need you to go outside and have dinner. This is amazing.
We do every night.
That's amazing. That's awesome. You know, you're not boiling down here in Florida like you used to.
The other secret single thing that I used to do that I have gotten over is the way I make nachos. Like, the only person who used to get to see me make nachos was my daughter. And it's because it takes me like 10 minutes to make a plate of nachos. And they're nothing more than chips and cheese. And Mickey has watched me make nachos.
Yeah.
But when I'm done, they look like the best nachos ever. And everybody wants a plate of their own. And then I have to make more plates of nachos. Maybe that's why I don't show anybody that.
Yeah, you're like, no, I don't want you to see it because I don't want to make them.
I think my thing was like, I use 1 cup for everything, and when I'm like, I'll pour soda in it and finish it, rinse it out, set it right on the counter. And when I've lived with people, they pick it up and put it in the dishwasher or wash it and then put it away. And it's like, I have ADD or ADHD and autism. And so it's like, where's my cup? Where is my cup? I need my cup right here. If it's not right here, I kind of lose track of everything. And I want my cup.
I don't blame you. Yeah. I used to do that too. As a little kid, my mom had to get me, it was a Mickey cup that she got from work. And I would do that all the time. I would just have my cup and I would just walk around with it. I finally had to give it back to the Lord because it broke when I was 16. And so I just said, okay, so now I just have random cups, and I'll just use that. I'll use that cup for the day, and then when I'm done, I'll just be like, all right, you're done today. Put you in the washer.
Okay, so they're at brunch talking about their secret single behaviors, and then what's up next?
So they're talking about their secret single behaviors, and I can't. Oh yes, Samantha gets called
from Dick.
At brunch from Dick as she puts him in her phone. She's like, Richard, it's Sunday. It's like this. Like, by this point, they have already stooped in his private jet when they were on their way to Rio in the episode prior. So they've already, done things. So, and she says, she told Carrie that she and Richard had hooked up. And then Carrie realizes that she had told everybody else. And Samantha goes, you told them? And she goes, I also like to gossip while secretly pumiceing my calluses.
That should be one of the first indications that Samantha really liked him, though, because normally she wouldn't give a fuck.
She wouldn't care.
Yeah.
She wouldn't care. She would have let that phone ring and she would have kept talking to her friends. But the minute she answered it, because even Carrie says, didn't we make a rule about those at lunch? Meaning you don't pick up the phone, you don't answer the phone when all four of us are together at dinner, or at lunch or whatever. And she picks up the phone and she won't give any details, any sexual details. And we all know up until this point, Samantha will tell you everything.
Everything, every drop.
Every single filthy detail Samantha will tell you. But for some reason, with Richard, she didn't say anything. She just said, fine, he's got the most perfect dick. Long, pink, amazing. It's dickalicious. And I'm like, okay, first off, you just made the funniest word, so I have to use that now. And second, that's all she said about it. That's it. That's all she said. They didn't ask her any more questions, nothing. They just dropped it. And I was and even when I'm watching that episode, I'm like, okay. And then Carrie asked, well, what am I going to do? Because Aiden is moving into my house and he brought a living thing. He brought a plant into the house. So she's like, everything that comes into my apartment dies. I'm like, oh my God. Like, what is this? The black hole, the Bermuda Triangle? Good Lord. So, and then they finally decide to separate off. They finally separate off and they go on about their day. And that's when Carrie was talking about how Aiden's just always in her face and she just can't handle it. Samantha goes to meet Richard at the office and he brings her that one single pink rose, not red.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. That, and I realized this as I was watching that episode again, Samantha's dress in that scene, it's this gorgeous emerald green and it's a halter, but it's just, I can't explain it. It's just, that dress is, I love the fashion in this show. Mm-hmm. It's just gorgeous. And so she meets Richard and he says, I couldn't stop thinking about you all weekend, as he's giving her the flower. And she had actually interrupted him while he was making a deal with some German investors.
This was so slick.
She said, and he goes, well, how do you say F you in German? She goes, fick me. And he said it and they hung up. And she goes, well, actually, that wasn't F you, that was F me. And he goes, well, that's a tactic I hadn't tried before. So then they proceed to be romantic and mushy. And then she decides she's going to have a little fun with him. And there's one thing in this that really irks me because I'm trying to learn German. I'm trying to be that weird kid on the block who learns German. And she says this is einen schönen perfekten Schwanz, which that's a loose translation. It's actually du hast einen perfekten Schwanz.
What's the difference?
When she said this is einen perfekten Schwanz, it's einen isn't really, I mean, you can use it. To me, when I'm looking at it, because I'm literally teaching myself German, I don't have a physical teacher. So when you see ein and einen, it's a loose translation, because to say du hast einen perfekten Schwanz is to say you have a perfect penis. And then you say, this is einen perfekten Schwanz, I mean, this is the perfect penis. So it's like, I don't know. It just, for me, when I heard it, I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. It's du hast ein. And so now I just, every time I see the episode, I just yell out randomly, du hast ein. My dog's like, what? My mother is yelling German at the television. Why? So,
do you agree with her description of the perfect penis?
That's true, because we did get a frontal. That was rare. That was very rare for HBO at the time to see a frontal of a male frontal. That was very rare at the time. I'm gonna go with James Rinmar's got it. He's got a nice one. It doesn't look uncouth to me. It looks appropriate for a man who has money. It looks appropriate for one of those guys.
That's all you can ask for, honestly.
That's all I can ask for. Yeah.
A distinguished dick.
There it is. Thank you, Mickey. Absolutely. Distinguished. And you're absolutely right. That's what it looks like. Very distinguished. Smooth guy. With the
top hat, monocle.
Yeah.
Fancy.
What is he, Mr. Monopoly now?
So have you seen the show Hacks?
No, but I've heard good things about it. I need to start watching it.
It's very good. I watched it obsessively a couple times in a row while we were living in the hotel. But as I was watching this episode, I was really taken with how similar facially Jean Smart and Kim Cattrall are. Like, they could play siblings and they would kill. Like, I need to see them together as relatives somehow.
Wow, that actually would be a really good idea. We need to put that out. Somebody needs to pick that up immediately because I think that would be awesome.
Take it, universe.
Yes. Somebody make this happen with Jean Smart and Kim Cattrall immediately. We need this to happen.
Okay, so Samantha is trying.
Oh, wait, before you go on.
Okay,
the reboot of Golden Girls.
Wait, what?
Those two in the reboot of Golden Girls.
I could see it.
Oh. Okay, that would be awesome. That would actually be really cool. But then, okay, so we know Kim Cattrall's going to be Blanche. That's
obviously.
Obviously. And Jean would have to be
Dorothy. I think.
Oh God, who would be your Sophia and your oh God, Betty White's character? I can't remember.
Betty White.
Rose,
yeah. Who would be?
I'll bring back Betty White just to continue. Like, everyone else is dead. Rose has got got the house in Miami, and everyone else. And here's the new batch.
What about Amy Sedaris as Sophia?
She would be great.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
She would do up the makeup. She would be great.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
All right, now we're making this happen.
Yes, now it has to happen. We'll just conjure Betty White back up, and she can come in as Rose, and we've already got all the other parts filled. We're good.
Okay, so Samantha's trying to distract Dick from being romantic.
Pretty much, yes.
By giving him a blowjob in the middle of the office. Yeah, basically.
Yes, in a glass office, mind you. Yes, so she's
by just dropping a padfolio or whatever that piece of leather was.
I dropped my portfolio. Yeah, and I'm just like, ma'am, okay. Like, this is happening. So she's doing that. Miranda at some point has reconnected with a man that she had been trying to date before she got pregnant, Walker Lewis. So they finally go on this date, and she thinks he's cute or whatever, and he tries to, get a little touchy-feely in the middle of the street, and she stops him, and he's like, well, hey, any chance I can see you before I leave again? The next day, she's talking to Carrie, and she's like, I don't know if I could do it. I mean, what if it hurts? What if he hurts the baby? And is it okay to do that? And she goes, will the dick like dent the baby? And then Carrie says the best line that I still say to this day. Where do you think dimples come from?
This part of Miranda's storyline bothers me so much because she is such a smart woman. I feel like she would know her own body better than this. Like, this has always bothered me about this episode because she's so smart about literally everything. And if she doesn't know something, she will go find out. Like, this is so dumb for her.
Thank you. This is the one time she had a Charlotte moment. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Charlotte. I love the way she is written, but we all admit her character is dumb sometimes. She is super dumb. And this was a stupid moment for Miranda. She had it. She had a Charlotte moment. And but at the same time, I have had some of those stupid Charlotte moments when I should know better. And exactly, Miranda should know better, like, ma'am. she goes, what if he's huge? Again, because most men are like, no. Like, ma'am, if he is doing that to your baby, you have no business messing with this man on any capacity. Just leave him alone. Leave him, send him back into the streets. Let somebody else get wrecked by him. That's not you. Okay. Let somebody else do it. So now she's fighting her urge to, succumb to her needs, her real needs versus, oh, is this morally right? And then you have poor Charlotte. Poor Charlotte. She just wants to have a whole family. Trey is trying to make her feel better. He says, I think Graham Walker or whoever snagged us orchestra seats for the producers. And she's just looking like, really? Theater tickets? You think theater tickets are going to help me get over the fact that you don't want to have a baby? Okay. So she's trying so hard to just go with this life of just the two of them. And he royally messes up. Comes home one day with a box. Not a box, but it's kind of like flat.
Yeah, and, I don't know.
It looks like it's going to be a painting. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was just going to be this beautiful painting that he acquired and was like, hey, put it in the house. She opens it up. It's a cardboard cutout of a baby. Oh my God. What
even thought process in what universe is that anything good to bring home?
Exactly. Especially when it has been proven that your wife having a child is only a 15% chance of ever getting pregnant, because that was found out later on, and that was found out during the course of the show. And that now that she's getting pumped full of IVF, pumped full of fertility drugs, and you think with all your doctor money and doctor brains that bringing in a cardboard cutout baby is the answer. Oh my gosh. In that moment, I just yell at the screen, Trey, you're a moron. You're you idiot.
I recently watched Twin Peaks for the first time, and when I started, I was like, I have all of this hate for Kyle MacLachlan, and I don't know why. And I remembered why after watching Trey. I'm like, oh my God, he's awful, and he makes me physically twitch. He's terrible.
Exactly. But that's the thing. That's how Kyle MacLachlan played that part amazing. He wasn't like a yeller or a screamer. He wasn't violent or anything like that. But when you have watched Sex and the City and you see him in anything else, you're like, oh, that's Trey's selfish ass. And you're like, oh my God. That's because that's how I feel when I see him in anything now. I'm like, no, that's stupid Trey.
Twin Peaks has undone it for me, thank goodness, but it came rushing back real fast.
That, and I did watch the original Dune because that is on HBO Max. So I watched that and I was like, okay, I got to remember he did other things besides that. He also did the Flintstones, and people forget about that. But he was a jerk in that too.
You know what? I love the Flintstones movie. I don't even care.
I know that movie.
They're fun.
It's fun. You're right. You're absolutely right. It is a lot of fun. So now Charlotte has to deal with that. She's got the cardboard baby cut out, and then she tells Trey, listen, I'm going to have the girls over for dinner, so you can't be here because I'm tired of your crap. And Carrie is now trying to figure out how to live in the situation in this small apartment. She's never lived with anybody before. She meets the neighbor next door who's selling the apartment to them, Mrs. Cohen, who is slower than Methuselah and older than her too. I mean, oh man, that lady looks like she's about to tumble down those stairs. And she goes, you tell your boy I'm not leaving for 30 days. And Carrie was like, are you insane? And this is when it culminates into one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in a television show because it was so accurate. Mm-hmm. It was so, that's why I'm like, the writing of this show was absolutely perfect because it's like all of their fights were coming to a head like at the same time. They were all lining up and it was just absolute perfection. So I'm like, I need to remember who the writers are for that episode and just go, yeah, you guys, you nailed it. You nailed this one. But this is one of the main reasons why this is my favorite episode, Carrie comes in and there's crap all over the floor. And she
can't even open her front door.
Can't even open her door because he's got so much stuff everywhere. So she proceeds to tell him, well, you know what, old lightning rod next door? She said she's not leaving for 30 days. And Aiden has a fit. What the fuck are we going to fucking do now? And then she goes, I thought you had been replaced. I didn't know what to do. So then he makes a horrible mistake of suggesting her to clean out her closet. You never tell a lady to clean out her walk-in closet. That death.
Scene was physically hard to watch because she was eviscerating her clothes.
And you're talking about, dude, if she has $400,000 worth of shoes, can you imagine how much she has in clothes?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, fine. I have laid out towels, put the shoes and the boxes on them. Okay. So he starts doing that. And she's finding clothes she hadn't worn in a while. This is one of the few mistakes they've made in fashion on this show. That was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
It looks like a mummy costume.
That, or I thought it looked like one of those costumes that the creepy guys in the bushes wear in Halloween Horror Nights, and they shake at the can of pennies at you. That's what it looked like.
The can of pennies dudes, yeah.
Yeah, shaky. Yeah, the penny can guys. And I'm like, what? I saw that for the first time. I went, what the hell is she? Okay, whatever. I'm not wearing it.
It's no tutu.
Exactly. It's not the tutu dress. So she's looking at it. And then all of a sudden she goes in the bathroom and Aiden's dog, Pete, is chewing up. Oh God, my heart fell when every time I see this scene, my heart falls. A Manolo Blahnik as some turquoise wraparound sandals. And the dog is just having a good old time. And she's freaking out. And this is when absolute perfection. She goes, that dog owes me $380. And he goes, fine. Well, you can't buy it. It's circa 1996. And I went, holy cow. I was like, ma'am, do you realize how old that shoe? Okay. So everything just goes to hell. She goes, you never let me in. Oh, I have let you in. You always want to do this. Like, well, look at you. Like all your shit's lying. They're telling each other their shit's lying around. And she's like, it wouldn't be that way if yours wasn't. Then she goes into a box. Look at you. Look at all this. What do you got? You got 6 unused speed sticks. What are you, a crazy bag man? What do you got? Old razors, Musk. When have you ever worn Musk? Old razors, Rogaine. When she got to the Rogaine.
I forgot what a big deal that was back then. I don't feel like it's not like the talking point that it was back then, at least.
No, it's not. It is not a big deal now. People lose hair. It happens, whatever.
Yeah.
But back then, you're looking at Aiden and he's strong and he's virile. He's
got a lot of hair.
Things. He's got a lot of hair. Well, yeah, now we do. He's putting it on in a can. So he's going, that's his secret single behavior.
Yeah, that whole box.
Yeah. He's a deodorant hoarder. He keeps old razors that might cut him and give him tetanus. Dude, what are you doing? And she looks at him and she goes, Rogaine? She's like, I didn't know you used Rogaine. And he goes, it's preventative. And the look on her face. This is one of those moments I look at Sarah Jessica Parker and I go, I think you've been in this situation before because that face was way too realistic. And she just goes, she's holding it and she goes, is your hair falling out? I'm like, and he just screams, I don't want to talk about it. And that's when the whole deal about the second door came up because she said she needed 2 bathroom doors. And now she's storming out. She says, she's going to leave. He says, I'm going to take a walk. Favorite line. One of my favorite lines in the show. No. I'm taking a walk. You can stay here with your shoe-eating dog and your boxes of shit, and you can knock yourself out putting on the Rogaine and the speed stick. And
I'm the best line in the whole episode.
Best line. And she was having I just went, oh my God, yeah. Best line. She leaves, goes to Starbucks. They're going to figure it out. That's fine. Then everybody comes together for dinner at Charlotte's. Once again, like I said, the writing in this is perfect because now Carrie's had her major fight because she's considered the main character. She's had her fight. Now the next person who's having a major fight is Charlotte. They all come on for dinner. Samantha kind of admits she has a thing for Richard. And then finally, Jesus, like, come on, honey. Just, you gotta think it's okay to like him. So then Carrie's telling all of them about how her and Aiden haven't talked for 3 days, which I don't like. Ma'am, you are in this teeny tiny apartment and you haven't spoken to each other for 3 days. Come on. I believe that's incredibly impossible. So you're just like going to bed, backs to each other, mute. You're eating dinner, mute. Is that what? Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what you're doing. So Carrie's telling them the story. Charlotte says, we're wasps. Wasps don't yell. It's genetic. And I'm like, oh, really? I dare you to put wasps in a room with nothing but alcohol and tell me who doesn't yell. I want to see one of them not yell after you've given them a full bar. That's impossible. So Trey comes home and he's like, oh, Mrs., you're here. Everybody, oh, Mrs., oh, I see you're still angry. And then he starts to explain to the girls about the cardboard baby. And they're looking at him like Samantha's face was like, oh, no. Carrie's face was like, oh, I'm sorry. Miranda, stone cold, was like, her face was like, are you effing serious? That was her. that was Cynthia Nixon's face. Was, are you effing serious?
She's so good as Miranda.
She is. I've been rewatching the series, and I'm just going, you gotta give it to them. They nailed it on this casting.
Mm-hmm. They
With
really did.
All four of them, they nailed it. And I'm just like, I need y'all to understand. Give Cynthia Nixon her flowers because she's a great actor. She's really good. So Trey says he's going to bring the baby in so they can see it. And she
because
goes,
it's funny.
Yeah, oh, he thinks it's funny. You know, Carrie, you're funny, right? Cardboard baby. I'm like, she goes, how would you like it if I had a cardboard cut out of a big flaccid penis? It's not so funny now, is it? And you just see all their faces just go, oh my God. And then that's when the wasp nest explodes. They are screaming at each other, calling each other selfish. You with your selfish, spoiled needs. It's like, yes, they've heard about your penis problems and they're tired of hearing about it. I'm like, yeah, remember, dude, when she was like trying to put like hydraulics in your penis? You forgot about that part, right? Or how you just couldn't get it together unless you wanted to stuff her in the cab.
Yeah. Couldn't do shit in bed.
Oh my God.
The thing I remember most about Trey's erectile dysfunction storyline is the night that she put like a money band around his penis to find out if it got. Yes, it was stamps.
It was
to find out if he got hard in the middle of the night.
Because she wanted to know if it was physical. And then it found out it wasn't physical, so it was a mental issue. And like, uh-oh. Like, ma'am, that's not good.
But one of the things that comes up is, well, obviously not coming up, but in the wasp stereotype, it's a very passive aggressive anger type thing because they want to keep it inside the house. Yeah. And if they're yelling and screaming, then some passerby might hear the argument or whatever. So whenever, and it's kind of like keep cranking on a guitar string and tightening it and tightening and tightening it. And as soon as it's found out outside the house, then it's like snapping the guitar string and all bets are off and all hell breaks loose.
Yep. And again, that's a credit to these writers because they nailed it. Mm-hmm. Because in the episode prior, Charlotte had gone to the Highland Fling and Charlotte had been screaming at Trey about how dare you tell Bunny that we might adopt Amanda's child or that we're having problems with getting pregnant. Like, I'm the one who's doing all the work. And you're absolutely right, Mickey. That's what happened. It kept getting tighter and tighter. And then he told his mother, which was the worst thing to do. And then she exploded in front of the entire Scottish population of New York City. So it's like, yeah.
While she was wearing the McDougal tartan.
And then he stepped on her dress. He stepped on her dress, and the poor girl had her cute little nude undies exposed. I'm like, oh my Lord, that's embarrassing.
It's so traumatic for Charlotte, though.
That scene in that episode before was incredibly traumatic for Charlotte, because it's just like, here she is doing everything she can possibly do within the realm of her being his wife, or just being a human being, of trying to work with him. And so she's trying to work with him, but also get what she wants. And I'm like, if that's not that's not a compromise, and I don't know what is, because she's still trying to work with this man, but she still wants what she wants. So it's like, Trey, you really couldn't just give her a kid? I mean, at the end, it turned out to be better for her. But...
Oh, yeah, 100% Harry all the way.
Yes, it turned out to be better for her when she meets Harry. And so I'm like, yay. But that fight was the second best one with Charlotte and Trey. It was funny. No, it wasn't. The way she yelled that, I was like, oh my God. That's perfect. That was perfect.
Seeing her go all in is so much fun.
You were the man who gave me a cardboard baby. The hands. She looked like she was somebody directing a school crossing lane. It was amazing. She was so into it. And I'm like, again, I looked at her. I looked at Kristen Davis and went, you look like you've been in this situation before. Like, this is bringing up something for you, and I feel so bad for Kyle MacLachlan, because he is getting the brunt of whatever happens to you. I'm like, I hope you apologize to that man. I really hope you did. So then it ends like, so you have these two characters. You have Charlotte and Carrie, who have these blowout fights. And then you have who are they're also emotional, but they're blowout fights. But then you have Samantha and Miranda, who their fights were internal, again, because they don't like to show emotion. So they're having internal fights within themselves and not actual physical partners. Samantha is so used to just, she gets what she gets and she leaves them, like she said. They need to leave an hour after. They need to be out of the house. But Richard is like refusing to move. He is refusing to leave. He is refusing to stop showing her that he cares about her in some fashion. And then Miranda now has to deal with the fact that, hey, maybe that was a little dumb, thinking that, my baby's going to have dimples in the face, or the poor kid's going to be in shock or something when it's born, and I just need to give in to this healthy desire that everybody has. I mean, I don't understand what she thought Walker was going to do to her. Like, did she think he was going to bang her like a screen door during a hurricane? I'm like,
maybe she saw, wasn't he like a gym buddy? Maybe she saw something at the gym.
I don't know. I don't know. I actually know he was a State Department interpreter.
Oh, that's right. So the gym buddy was like earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The gym. Oh yeah. The gym guy was earlier, and I remember Marathon Man. That episode happened. Marathon Man was funny. But, and Miranda finally had to realize, it's okay to have this natural urge that we all have. I swear, I don't know what she thought was going to happen. I'm like, honey, your kid's not going to be a scrambled egg. You're going to be fine. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, you'll be just fine. I promise.
Yeah, people do it literally all the time.
I mean, come on. Doctors even tell you at some point to be like, hey, you're kind of running behind on this labor. You might want to shake something up a little bit. Yeah. Like, excuse me, you're running behind on this labor. You might need to shake something up a little bit.
One of the things that I like about the final scene with Richard and Samantha in this episode is, like, in like an instant, you can clearly see, like, she likes getting romance, and then she wants it, but then you can like clearly see in her face where she denies herself what he's trying to do for her. And like in an instant, it's so quick.
Yeah, it's fast. You can see it, and you can see her trying to deflect and go back to her old, how she normally operates with men. And the fact that he took her hand away and was like, no, you're not going to do that to me, because that's not what I'm going to give you. That's not what we're here for. That's not what this is. And I was just like, oh, it's so romantic and sweet. But then we all know how it ends, and I get so sad.
I always loved Samantha and Richard together. I also loved Samantha and the lesbian for a little bit. And then, like the jazz guy, I was like, nope, okay, we're done.
Yep. Maria, yeah. I did like her with Maria, too. And some people will be like, what? They were too young. I did like her with Smith. I really liked her with Smith. Because he wasn't trying to stop her from being herself.
Yep.
He wasn't doing any of that. He was just glad that they were together. He was happy for that.
I don't remember 100%, but I also feel like when they had Samantha with Smith, they wrote her a little bit weaker too. Like they didn't keep up the strong facade that she normally had, and it felt like intentional in a weird way. Like they were trying to tie her story up, so they had to soften her up or something. It didn't sit right with me that.
Yeah, they didn't have to soften Samantha up in any way, shape, or form. I mean, did they want to maybe show her be a little bit more open to somebody? Then okay. And you can do that and not be all, oh, I'm all weak and sad, cancer. I mean, come on. We have seen cancer survivors who are still tough and still going through it. Just because she had cancer doesn't mean that she's got to, stop being tough, because that's the thing we all loved about Samantha. We love the same thing about Miranda too. She's just a tough cookie, and we love that about her.
Yep.
All right, you brought up the writer of the show several times, and the writer of this episode was the producer, Michael Patrick King. And he's written for Will and Grace. He wrote for Murphy Brown back in the early 90s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He created Two Broke Girls, and he also did a lot of writing. He was the creator and writer of The Comeback that Jackie is very fond of.
I love that show.
Oh, I'll see now. I have to watch that show.
Yes, The Comeback is probably Lisa Kudrow's best work, in my opinion.
Ooh. I think I saw one episode of that. And then I got so busy with other stuff that I just stopped following up. But that episode I did see was good.
Cringiest.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. I love cringy television.
Me too.
Oh, when you're just like, oh, no, this is so embarrassing.
She does it so good.
Oh, if you're a fan of cringe humor in that aspect, one of the previous episodes we did with Tara Lee Kavanaugh was The Office UK, and it is like The Office US is some cringe humor and some very uncomfortable. I mean, there's recognizable Office characters. If you've worked in an office, you recognize these people, and you're like, yeah, and they just kind of crank it up. The episodes that they did in the original Office in the UK was just cringe humor cranked as far as they could take it and still get on TV. So
I have to see this insanity. Oh my gosh, now I have to see this insanity.
It's fabulous.
It ran for like 20 seasons, so there's like 4 episodes.
Oh my
No, it was three seasons, and I think a grand total of like 7 episodes or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, when Tara gave us that assignment, we just watched the whole series.
Yeah, because that was it at that point. Yeah, at that point you might as well just watch it all.
Another neat thing about this episode, if you watch Ted Lasso at all, in season 2, episode 7, Keely is making like a big point of watching this episode because part of the Ted Lasso episode is about like secret single behavior and about what's the Roy Kent being like so needy with Keely and her having to navigate that. And it was neat to see like at lunchtime today I watched the Ted Lasso episode, so I would know about it. But it's, I don't know, it's neat to see like the themes echo in future comedy.
In other episodes of other shows. Yeah, that is, I do like that. I very much enjoy that. Like you'll see, one of my other favorite shows is 30 Rock, and you could tell when Sex and the City was getting really big. 30 Rock had like an episode that was kind of Sex and the City-ish, and it even ended with Liz Lemon like writing on her computer on her bed, and I was like, yes. I was like, I love this so much.
I do love me some Liz Lemon. You said that was the other show you were considering.
Yeah, that was the other show that I was considering because I started watching 30 Rock when it was in a third season. That's when I started watching that. I started watching Sex and the City in its second season.
Oh, wow.
So, and because that was something me and my mom would do. Like she found out about it. She would watch it by herself. And then after she had determined that, okay, my teenage daughter can handle this. she's mature enough. And surprisingly I was. And when the second season of Sex and the City started, she says to me, honey, come here. We're going to start watching this show together. And that was a bonding thing for us. We watched the entire series and both of the movies. We did not watch and just like that together, but we'll send notes to each other, and I'll just be like, Mom, what is going on? And she just goes, honey, I don't know. Why did they have to do that to Samantha? I said, Mommy, I don't know. I'm like, they could have easily recasted her. Kim Cattrall said to recast that part. Just malarkey. So we
now I feel like I have to go watch it.
Oh, you have to. There is one, like I said before, this episode of The Good Fight, there's one episode that is like that and just like that. And don't worry, I don't have to tell you which one it is because when you get to it, you'll know. You'll know exactly which one it is because the other ones before that, oh my God.
I almost can't wait now.
It's so bad. They are so bad.
I love watching bad things for bad sake, though, so that's going to be great.
Okay, so you sound like me, because I do with this thing, I like to call it the circle of shit. So I have to complete everything in the circle in order to have an honest opinion about it. I don't listen to what anybody else says. I only read or watch whatever. I did that with the 50 Shades of Grey novels.
Same.
And the movies. And
Same.
I have... Oh my gosh, so bad.
They're the cringiest. And not the good cringe. It's just bad.
I cannot count or tell you how many times I threw each of those books in pure disgust on the floor, going, how dare you? I yelled at the book like I was chastising something. How dare you?
Mickey was laying next to me in bed as I read all three of them.
Oh, Mickey, I'm so sorry. Oh,
she spent most of her time. Like there was a point where she stormed out of the room, went to the kitchen, went through our. We collect pens.
Yeah.
Not for any other reason than we can't throw a pen away.
Yeah.
And dug through a drawer full of pens to find a red pen and came stomping back into the room. And she's like, "What is this? They have editors, don't they?"
Yes. Where are your editors?
I just realized there was a Snoopy up here.
Like, I'm just like, where are your editors? How dare you? How dare you talk about, I swear, it looks like, when I read those books, it read like some 18-year-old girl was writing them in the back of her science class because she accidentally ended up on FetLife. It was the craziest thing.
Well, it's actually Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah. I figured that out when I was halfway into the first book. I figured that out. I'm sitting here going, wait a minute now. They in Seattle, and this and this. And I said, child, if this is Twilight fan fiction, I'm about to throw this book out the window. Sure enough, I look it up, and it's Twilight fan fiction. I just go, I can't believe, no, absolutely not shenanigans. But again, I had to complete the circle. Mm-hmm. So I read all three, watched all three.
It's torture. It's like, I don't know why I do it to myself, but
yeah,
I have to do it.
It's like we're like emotionally waterboarding ourselves. We have to do it. We have to just pour the buckets of water all over ourselves. And when people ask us, why are we doing it? Because we have to have an honest opinion.
Sometimes I think it's like I push myself through something because it's like, oh, they intentionally made the front end bad to scare away the non-believers or whatever. And then you get into the back and it's like, all the seats are coated in velvet and they're bringing you like expensive drinks and steak on golden platters and stuff like that. But you have to go through, the peanuts and spit on the floor in order to get to that room. Yes. So it's like, I'll give it a few more tries. Maybe I'll work my way to the back of the room and find the door that I can go through to get the good stuff.
Exactly. You just because I 100% I was hoping through each chapter it would get better. I was like, maybe there's going to be a great payoff at the end. Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not. I'm sitting here going, what? Where did this guy come from? Yeah, but that's how it was with Sex and the City. I was just like,
that's what we did with Lost.
Yeah. Oh Jesus, yes.
Like we hated watching like from season 2 on, but we had to keep watching it just to see, is it good? The Mickey's example there is perfect for Lost.
Yeah, like how's it going to end? What's at the end of what's on the other side of the door? It's what's like behind door number 1.
Yeah, like throwing money at a bad investment, hoping that it will pay off, or gambling. Sitting at the blackjack table, just keep betting because you think you're going to get your money back. You never get your money back.
No, nope.
Or if you're in Michigan, sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
This is a lawless state.
Are they wild out there?
Oh my! You can buy lottery tickets online.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, we need to. Oh, it might be too late.
Yeah, somebody won yesterday.
Oh, won.
Wait, somebody won the big one?
I thought so.
$1.1 billion.
I might have read about something else. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, do you know what that means? Whoever won that, they should dress up as Dr. Evil and just go $1 billion. That's how I would. If I won that, I would have done that.
Who wouldn't?
I would have done that and got a little furless cat, hairless cat, and just walked around town with it. That would have been hilarious. Basically, just this episode is very, aside from the fact that it was, as I've said before, that it was written very well, it very much displays how we as people, not only we just don't fight people, we also fight ourselves at the same time. And sometimes those fights can be good fights that create space for us to do the things that we need to do or want to do, or tell people, your shoe-eating dog and your boxes of shit can go to hell, or you can get out of my face with your cardboard baby. So it's like sometimes we do, as people, we need to have those good fights. And that's exactly what that episode says to me. And it reminds me sometimes a good fight is very much needed.
That's perfect. Where can people keep up with you if they want to hang out with you virtually more or in person? I think you do in-person shows, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do perform burlesque in Florida. I'm trying to actually get out of the state of Florida and do more burlesque and across the country. That is Ms. Brown's Colors of Burlesque. Ooh, you can follow that on Facebook and Instagram. I also do have a pop culture podcast called The Underground with Ms. Brown. That is on all the fabulous podcast apps that you have. Just type it in, and I swear I'm the only one there.
This has been literally so much fun. Yay. And you're welcome back anytime you want to come back.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
We'll talk about 30 Rock.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. That's going to be a hilarious one for that. That would be hilarious. Yes. Thank you so much for having me on the show. You guys are absolutely amazing. I am so honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to end this now awkwardly because that's how I do everything.
Okie dokie.